So I wanted to talk for a moment about sort of within open stage hosting, kind of boundaries and accommodation, and sort of the balance between those things. So obviously, as the host, you've got a lot of responsibilities and you got a lot of experience. You're responsible for making the whole event function and run on time, and the equipment, is a substantial investment on your part, or at least is venue equipment that's in your care. And you've got a body of experience that has led you to learn the ways that you prefer to do things, the ways that things work best in your experience, and the ways that they don't work best. Um, but sometimes you have to balance that against accommodating the way that the player wants to do something. And in those situations, my advice and what I try to hold myself to is to sort of the rule of improv, to say yes as much as I can to those things, even if I mentally have kind of an argument against doing this particular thing, or I think that's not going to work. That's not the best way to do that. I'm aware. I can see the problem with doing that. That's gonna, whatever the thing may be. If it's not going to hurt anything, then just you know jump to and get it to happen, because ultimately you got to remember that you are serving the players. Like, they came out of the house, they came down here to play, and they had something in mind about what that experience was going to be like. And to whatever extent is humanly possible, you got to try to make that happen for them, to help them have a great experience. And if it doesn't hurt anything, then do whatever they like. So I'll give you a couple examples of that. So there was a time when a player, you know, she had opted for the free video recording that I offer, and I was getting ready to either plug in or mic her guitar. She said, "No, I think it's best if we don't mic my guitar, if I just go acoustic." And I gave just this much pushback. I said, I think that it'll be real hard to hear you, and it may affect the video, but it's your call, and so we'll do it however you want to do it. And she said, yeah, I think I just want to go strictly acoustic on my guitar. So she's got a mic that she's singing through, and she's got an acoustic guitar that's not being amplified at all. And I just said, okay, and we just did it. And I tried my best to accommodate, like, okay, well, I'm going to turn down the vocal mic a little bit so that it's at least balanced, or I think it's balanced, or in the neighborhood. Like, I'm gonna give her guitar a little bit of headroom. I'm just working with what she wants to do. She's the boss in this situation. It doesn't hurt me. And I'm right, of course. The things that I'm pointing out are true, I should say. It is going to affect the quality of that recording. And also, in that room, you couldn't really hear her guitar at the back of the room. But here's what is also true: she was comfortable, she was getting what she wanted, and she gave a good performance. Like, she was in her zone. And if I had been argumentative, if I had insisted on doing it my way, I might have spoiled that. And I certainly might have spoiled her enjoyment of the moment. She might have, you know, dealt with me. But instead, I accommodated her. So that's one example. Another, similarly, sort of the opposite, actually, now that I think about it. There was a guy, player gets up there, I'm going to plug in his Taylor, and he says, hey, can you not only plug it in, but also mic it? And I'm sitting there thinking that, in the very simple rig that I have, it's really not going to do much, and it's going to share a channel going into this, there's only two inputs into this camera. So there's, a vocal and instrument. And it, technically it's going to introduce the possibility that I'm going to get a little bit of phase cancellation or something a little bit unusual that I, not going to be able to like dial out very easily in the time provided. But hey, no skin off my back. And so I said, sure, we can do that. And I did what he asked. And similar to the other person, I didn't even object. I just said, sure, we can do that. And I think that, he, again, whether it's because of that or that's part of what made him comfortable, he got in his zone and he did his thing, And so again, if I'd made an issue out of it, I could have broken that spell. Not that I would have broken that spell, who knows, I'm speculating. But the point is, I'm doing my part to help him get what he thinks he needs to do his thing. Now, I'll do the third example, which is sort of the flip side. There is a place where that crosses a line and crosses my own boundaries as a host. So this is a minor thing, and it happens a lot. Most people don't understand how to use a mic stand. And so I try to make a point as the host of, I put my hands on the stand, I adjust it, I say, is that a good spot for it? Does that feel comfortable? Like, I just take control of it as a way to basically protect my gear, because if you're not already familiar, when you have a mic stand and you just muscle the thing, well, it doesn't take too long for the sort of the mechanism, the plastic seals that are keeping it tight, to wear out, to get a lot of give, to start sagging, to not be tightenable, and we've all, those of us who've dealt with house gear, we've all encountered those mic stands that are not happy to be here. And that's how they get that way, is from people just muscling them without loosening them first. You really need to go through the entire motion of loosening it, positioning it, tightening it. But people just sort of, they kind of subscribe to a very common belief that you can just move the things. And so I try to take that out of the equation so I don't have to be crotchety and bark at people about it. But from time to time, someone will kind of assert that they're going to just do that. And when they do, I'll just say, if you don't mind, let me adjust the stand, because I gotta get these things to last. So I'd rather kind of do it this way, if that's all right. Only once has anyone pushed back at all on me saying that. And I know that when I'm doing that, I may be making them feel a little bit like they got scolded. I'm trying to make it be as light in tone as possible, and just be to the point. It's my gear. I'd prefer to, let me adjust it for you. Only one time does someone push back and say, it's not my first time using a mic stand. And in that situation, I'm not going to get into a fight, but I'm also not going to say, you're the boss in that situation. We have crossed the line. It is my gear. And I said, I hear you, but, I use these stands hundreds of times a year, and I just need them to last. So if I'd prefer to adjust it for you, if that's okay. Now, I know that in that moment we've had a confrontation, and it's entirely possible that in his mind, I'm a jerk for saying that, and he's not coming back. But, if I lose somebody who can't respect me when I'm being respectful about my own boundaries, then just like life, c'est la vie, and it's just not a good fit for us to keep on interacting. So certainly, if he comes back, he's welcome. He hasn't come back yet, but if he were to come back, he'd be welcome, and I would just simply, go on about my business and be as accommodating as I could to him, but continue to maintain what makes sense for me as my boundaries. So anyway, just some thoughts about how to sort of toe the line or dance the tightrope, however you want to think of it. And till next time, see you at the open stage.